Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting one today.
Oh, yeah.
So you sent us a source, and it's a PDF titled help.pdf.
Right.
The thing is, the entire document is just one word repeated over and over again, and that word is help.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
it's a little unsettling.
Yeah, it is.
So we're going to try to figure out
Okay.
what we can learn from this.
Right.
Is it a plea for help? Is it some sort of like conceptual art piece?
Yeah, like what is it? It's so
Right.
minimalistic.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It is, but sometimes the most impactful expressions can be the most minimalist ones, right?
yeah.
I mean, like think about like Jenny Holzer's work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, her art installations
Yeah.
use really simple phrases, and often they're just repeated
Yeah.
to make you think and feel a certain way.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of like focusing on why someone would send us this,
Right.
or like what they're trying to say, maybe we should look at how this repetition affects us.
Exactly. How does this one word, help, being repeated endlessly,
Yeah.
how does that actually impact us?
Like, what does it do to someone to read it?
Yeah. Let's look at how the message works.
Okay.
The fact that there's just so many helps,
Yeah.
you can't avoid it.
Right.
It's visually dominant.
Yeah.
You're forced to confront it.
It's like it's screaming at you,
Exactly.
even though there's no sound.
Precisely. And there's actually been research
Oh, wow.
on the psychology of repetition.
Interesting.
And sometimes when you're exposed to something over and over again,
Yeah.
you actually can become desensitized to it.
Oh, really?
But in this case,
Mhm.
the word help is so emotional
Yeah.
that it might actually have the opposite effect.
Right.
It might amplify its effect.
So the more you see it, the more
That's what-
anxious you get? Or...
Exactly. And the more urgent it feels,
Okay.
you know?
So it's not just seeing the word help.
Right.
It's seeing it hundreds of times.
Yeah. Hundreds or maybe thousands of times.
Right.
You know, and that creates a totally different experience.
So it's almost like how it's presented
Yeah.
matters just as much as
Exactly.
noticing.
Think about the visual impact for a second.
Okay.
If it was just one help
Yeah.
in like Times New Roman or something.
Right. In a regular font.
Yeah, it wouldn't have the same impact.
Right.
But the fact that it's repeated over and over,
Uh-huh.
potentially in like a different font or a specific layout,
Right.
it transforms it.
Totally changes it.
It becomes something else entirely.
So like the typography, the layout,
Yes.
even the fact that it's a PDF,
Yes.
that all like contributes
Right.
to what it is.
That all becomes part of the message.
Yeah.
We're dealing with like visual language here.
Oh, wow.
Even if at first glance it seems really simple.
So we've got the word help,
Right.
and then how it looks visually really impacts it. But there's
Okay.
also the word itself.
Yes, absolutely. Help is such a strong word.
Yeah. You know, it makes you think about needing help and vulnerability and like maybe a crisis is happening.
And everybody has needed help at some point.
Exactly.
It's universal.
So everyone's felt that.
Yeah, so this document,
Yeah.
it's like tapping into something everyone knows.
Exactly. It doesn't need any context.
Yeah.
The word help becomes the whole story.
Wow.
The message, the feeling.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Right.
So we've got this word
Yeah.
that's very emotionally charged,
Uh-huh.
and we've got how it's presented visually,
Yeah.
which makes you feel a certain way.
Exactly.
Wow, this is really fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
I'm really interested to see where
Yeah.
we go from here with this.
Me too.
Okay, so I think that's a good place to stop for now,
All right.
and we'll come back
Sounds good.
and see what other layers to this we can uncover.
Great.
All right, so we'll be back in a bit.
Hey then.
We're back. And I have to say, I'm still thinking about that visual language idea. Yeah, it's really something, isn't it?
It's like we're not just reading help. We're experiencing it.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so interesting.
It's like making us think about how meaning is made.
Yeah, like it's not just the words.
Right.
It's how they look, how many times they're repeated.
Yeah, like the whole physical experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we talked about the visuals,
Right.
the repetition, and how that affects us psychologically, and
Yeah.
how help is such an emotional word.
Right.
So where do we go from here?
Well, let's think about some interpretations.
Okay.
Keeping in mind, we don't know who sent this,
Right.
so we're kind of speculating here.
Sure.
One way to look at it is as art.
Like help.pdf is art.
Yeah, like a piece of art.
Interesting.
Think about the data movement.
Okay.
They used absurdity and nonsense
Uh-huh.
to challenge like conventional art.
Yeah, and social norms too, right?
Exactly.
So is this like a daddyist statement?
It could be seen that way.
That by making it so simple,
Right.
just this one word over and over.
Yeah, it makes us question everything.
Like, what even is language? What is art? What does it all mean?
Exactly. And the repetition itself becomes like a statement. Maybe it's saying important messages get lost.
Oh, in all the noise of the world?
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe it's about our own struggles,
What do you mean?
like feeling stuck
Ooh,
with worries or anxieties.
oh, I see.
You know, like a loop.
That's a good point.
The repetition could be like those thought patterns
Yeah, those cycles you get stuck in.
when you're feeling overwhelmed or distressed.
Right, like it's mirroring that feeling.
And isn't there something in psychology about repeating patterns
Oh, yeah, totally.
until you learn the lesson?
Exactly. You keep repeating the same behaviors
Right.
until you figure it out.
So this could be like that process.
The help over and over.
It's like us trying to confront the issue.
Yeah, the issue that's making us need help.
Wow, this is getting really deep.
I know, right?
Okay, so it could be art.
Yeah.
It could be about our psychology. Anything else we're missing?
Well, we can't rule out that it's a prank.
Oh, right, like just a joke.
Yeah, like something weird on the internet.
True, the internet's full of strange stuff.
Exactly.
But even if it's a joke,
Yeah.
it's making us have this conversation.
Right, and that's interesting in itself.
We're talking about language and repetition and how we understand things.
Exactly. It shows how much we want to find meaning.
Even in something so simple.
Yeah, even in the weirdest places.
This is blowing my mind.
Mine too.
We started with one word.
And now we're talking about art movements and psychology.
It's incredible.
It really is. And it shows that sometimes
Yeah.
the most interesting things come from the most unexpected places.
So what do you think? What's your take on help.pdf? Does it feel like art? Is it more psychological? Something else entirely? Let us know. Back again for the deep dive. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this whole help.pdf thing.
I know, right? It's amazing how much we've been able to get out of such a simple document.
Yeah, it really makes you think. So as we wrap this up, what's your biggest takeaway?
I think for me, the big thing is remembering that meaning isn't always obvious.
Oh, okay.
Like sometimes it's not about the words themselves, but how they're presented.
Yeah, or how many times they're repeated.
Exactly. And this document, it makes us really work for that meaning.
Instead of just giving it to us.
Right. We have to be more active.
Yeah, like we're being challenged to look deeper.
Exactly. It's not just what's on the surface.
There are all these layers.
Yeah. And this connects to how we deal with information these days.
Oh, yeah, like in the digital age.
Yeah. We're constantly bombarded with stuff.
And it's easy to just tune it out.
Exactly. But this document, it cuts through all of that.
It's so simple.
Right. It forces you to pay attention.
Like a wake-up call.
Yeah. Like, hey, be more critical about what you're seeing.
Be more thoughtful.
Exactly. Engage with it. Don't just let it wash over you.
I like that. And you know, it also makes me think about empathy.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Well, no matter what the person who sent this was trying to do,
Right.
the word help makes you think about needing help.
Yeah.
It reminds you that we're all connected.
Even online.
Yeah, like there's a real person behind that document.
And they might be struggling.
Right.
That's a good point.
So even if it started as a joke or some kind of art project,
He's become a much bigger conversation.
yeah, about how we communicate and how we understand each other.
And how we find meaning in this crazy world.
This has been quite the journey.
I know, right?
We started with one word,
Help.
and we ended up talking about art and psychology and the internet and like everything.
It's amazing what you can learn if you just dig a little deeper.
So what about you listening? What will you take away from this deep dive into help.pdf? How will it change the way you see the world?
Remember, even the simplest things can have deep meaning. Pay attention, ask questions, and keep searching.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration, and until next time, keep diving deep.